Below the Bar podcast is not meant to be taken as legal advice. It is purely used for entertainment purposes. Corbin and I are not attorneys. In fact, we haven't even graduated law school yet.
We don't even know if we're going to graduate.
We don't even know if we're going to graduate. That's scary. So if you have any legal concerns, please, I urge you guys to seek an actual attorney. With that being said, I hope you enjoy this episode, and that's all I have to say. Hey everyone, welcome back to Below the Bar podcast. My name is Drew. With me, as always, is Corbin.
How's it going, guys?
And we got a special one for you today because, guys, it is the holiday.
It is the holiday
season.
Yeah. It's getting exciting, and I don't know where everybody listening is, but we've said before we're in Pennsylvania, and we just got a blizzard, so that was fun.
Fun? You're sick, man.
Dude, we got probably 13 inches of snow.
Oh, it was ridiculous. I sat in my living room and looked out the window and watched cars try to make it up and down the hill by my house for probably an hour, and I've never laughed harder in my life.
It's a fun time. And I've actually seen recently some TikToks that people just record a stop sign whenever it's icy out, and then they rate all of the stops because most people just slide through it. And I saw it the other night and I was dying. I thought it was so funny.
That's good. That's clever. Yeah, but yeah, guys. So it's here. It depends. I mean, everybody celebrates different holidays. We're celebrating Christmas, but I mean, if you're celebrating Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you're celebrating, I mean, just happy holidays.
Just happy holidays.
Yes. So we have a Christmas case here for you guys today.
It's an interesting one.
Yes.
Just reading through this case, I was like, it's just such a weird thing that happened, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it because Drew sent me this case, and I was like, all right. And then I started reading into it. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
now I get it.
Yeah, it's weird. So this one doesn't. I couldn't find a name for this case, which I don't like having to admit to you guys, but it was just something that I really wanted to talk about, and I went online and just did some unorthodox research, I guess, and found a bunch of things regarding the case itself.
Yeah, I noticed that, but like you said, there is a lot of information that we have. It's strange that we couldn't find a name. I did some research as well, but
yeah.
There's only so many websites that you can go to before you're like, all right, well, this case just doesn't have a name apparently.
Yeah. So I guess if you guys are not familiar with very, controversial character in Arizona corrections. His name is Joe, or I guess law enforcement. He was the sheriff. Joe Arpaio in Maricopa County.
Yeah, and Joe was a tough guy.
He was. He actually was deemed America's toughest sheriff. Which
I want that title eventually.
I don't know if you want to be anything like this guy, though.
I was going to say, I guess I don't know if I want his title, but to be called the toughest sheriff in America, that'd be pretty cool.
I mean, this guy, we're talking about a guy, he's literally been called Hitler in the past on numerous occasions.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, he had an outdoor jail in Phoenix, Arizona. In Phoenix, where it's like 130 degrees.
I was going to say, there's a reason he has been called Hitler, and I mean, say what you want about comparisons, but some of these things, like the reason he was called Hitler is, like you said, he had these outdoor camps, but they were just exposed to the elements. Like these camps, there wasn't shelter or anything like that. They were just open. They had to.
I think they had like basic tents,
right?
But nothing substantial.
But you couldn't go inside.
No, absolutely not. And a lot of these people too, because I know, there's people out there that have differing views, and that's perfectly fine. That are going to be like, well, they're in prison, who cares? But I mean, we still have to treat people like humans. And also the people that were in this outdoor prison were, convicted of minor offenses the vast majority of the time. Shoplifting, using false documents.
Yeah, there were some people that were in there for like minor drug charges.
Just petty drug charges. So we're not talking about like serial killers here.
Right. And these camps, they were compared to concentration camps, and I know we're talking about a lot of Nazi history and just terrible things,
but these are real comparisons that people made,
right?
To, to what who he was and what he ran.
So it must have been terrible there.
Yeah. But we're not trying to alienate any of our listeners. I mean, so it was just, he was a tough guy.
Yeah.
He had been accused of racial profiling in the past. A lot of times there's instances where Latino inmates were mocked for not speaking English.
And that's crazy to me. I mean, they're in Arizona.
Yeah.
Whenever you're in the southern states, you have to know there's going to be Latino Americans, just anybody, like
a border state where, absolutely. I mean, he did a lot more too. He made inmates wear pink. He'd force them to wear like pink underwear and stuff.
Yeah, and I would never wear pink. So.
No, I have a pink hoodie at home now. But he utilized prison chain gangs, which were where prisoners were chained together and forced to perform like real insane physical work. It was just meant to be punishment.
Right, yeah. And we've talked about how bad this guy is, but just to put it in some more perspective, he wasn't a stranger to having lawsuits filed against him.
No, not at all.
Between 2004 and 2007, he had 2,150 lawsuits filed in federal court against him alone. That's insane.
That's wild. Yeah, I also saw that this was on AZ or Arizona Central, I guess azcentral.com, where they said that Maricopa County had paid out over $200 million for lawsuits arising from Arpaio. And that article was published in August of 2019. So right now it is December of 2020. I'm sure that number has possibly gone up. I know he's no longer the sheriff, but...
Okay, I was going to ask.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and you guys right at this point are probably like, this is a Christmas case. You guys are talking about a sheriff in Arizona and all this terrible stuff. How is this related? Well, Christmas music. We're going to answer your question by just saying Christmas music. We all love Christmas music, right?
I like Christmas music.
I hate Christmas music, and I kind of hate you.
That's fair. It's a very polarized thing.
Yeah.
Even in my family alone. My mom and I would listen to Christmas music.
Yeah.
My dad and my sister did not like Christmas music.
Don't tell me you have like Deck the Halls on your iPod.
I might.
And just for the record, guys, how out of date am I that I just said iPod? Okay, I don't know what just happened there. Let's get back on track.
I listen to Christmas music on the way here.
Oh, gee. So Christmas music, Joe Arpaio. Yeah, so one of his tactics around Christmas time was that in his prisons, he would play everybody's favorite Christmas music for upwards of 12 hours straight.
Yeah, and it wasn't a ton of different songs. Like, there's only so many Christmas songs already.
Yeah.
But his favorites were Frosty the Snowman and, for some reason, Feliz Navidad.
Yeah.
Which is strange to me, just because we talked about his racial profiling in the past.
Yeah.
He made fun of Latino inmates for not speaking English, but then he would just put on Feliz Navidad.
It seems like he was an interesting character. But so I read somewhere too that he was a big fan of anything Alvin and the Chipmunks, which really tells you something about it.
That makes it worse. That makes it a lot worse, in my opinion. If
Christmas music wasn't bad enough, when you put it up to an extremely high octave like that, it just gets so much worse.
Yeah. If I hear Alvin and the Chipmunks Christmas once throughout the Christmas season, it's okay.
Yeah.
If I hear it
for 12
hours straight.
Yeah. Jeez.
I'd probably go insane.
Yeah. That would be, if I was before a judge and they said, we're going to sentence you for your, this is how a judge talks, by the way. Drew, that's what they'll say. For your acts of crime. This is very legit stuff I'm saying here.
Yeah, this sounds
For your
good.
acts of crime, you are sentenced to 12 hours in a room with Alvin and the Chipmunks Christmas music. I would say, you know what? I'll take the chair. So...
But they didn't have a choice, and it wasn't for one 12-hour period. It was for however long the sheriff decided until the Christmas season was over.
Yeah.
Or the holiday season was over. But
yeah, 6 inmates filed lawsuits in relation to these festive soundtracks here. They argued a bunch of things. They said that this tactic violated their 8th Amendment rights against cruel and unusual punishment, and that it forced them to participate in religious celebrations. I get both of those arguments.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both solid arguments. Like we've said, I mean, cruel and unusual punishments, you usually think of, I mean, torture, the death penalty, stuff like that. But, I mean...
Well, so let's get into that, because cruel and unusual punishment is kind of this enigma. There's really no real definition of...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of pinpoint what cruel and unusual punishment is. We have the 8th Amendment that says excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. That's where that comes from.
Right.
But, we have some insight from case law.
Yeah, and that is... Trop versus Deleuze.
Delays, I think it's Delays.
Delays, okay.
Probably botching.
But that was in 1958, and we're talking about a pretty current case. But in that case, they talked about how cruel and unusual basically kind of goes along with the evolving standards of society and decency within whatever society we're living in.
Yeah.
It's kind of what the definition sounds like to me. I don't know about what you think, but...
No, that's exactly it. Yeah, you have to kind of look at what the moral standards of the country is in that time period and see, dude, look back at, the 1500s. They were doing crazy stuff to people.
Right, yeah.
For minor offenses, but that was what people, I guess,
believed and
cool with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where nowadays, so there was just a few examples where execution of the insane, that's the terminology that they used. Juveniles sentenced to life without parole for crimes other than homicide, torture, deliberately degrading punishment. These are some just cases that have found these things to be examples of cruel and unusual punishment.
Right. So I guess if we were going to put this case into one of those examples, I guess you would have to say probably close to deliberately degrading or torture.
Torture, man. That's yeah.
It's.
I guess if you were if you were on death row, and execution of the insane,
right? Yeah,
was an example of cruel and unusual. 12 hours of music would drive me insane, Christmas music. So then I would be able to escape the death penalty that way. Just listen to Alvin and the Chipmunks for 12 hours and just become certifiably insane, and then they couldn't execute me. But yes, so these lawsuits, they rested on allegations of cruel and unusual punishment, and there's a couple different ways I wanted to talk about where people would bring lawsuits against government officials for violating their constitutional rights. There's 2 of them, typically. Okay. So the first one is a 1983 action. That is a statute that provides a means for people whose rights are violated by state or local government to bring suit against the defendant in federal court. Now we're talking about state and local governments here. Then you also, on the flip side, you have a Bivens action, which is basically the same thing, except that the defendant is acting on behalf of the federal government.
Okay.
So here we're talking about what appears to be this would likely be a 1983 action, because the defendants, I guess Joe Arpaio or the Arizona Correctional System, they're state officials who are alleged to have been violating their constitutional rights.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So what ended up coming from this? Is that cruel and unusual?
So basically the result was that this was not cruel and unusual punishment. All 6 cases were dismissed on summary judgment, which basically means that they had pleadings and discovery and disclosures and affidavits, and basically the court held that there was nothing really here that the 6 inmates could really lean on.
Yeah, there was no genuine, I think that terminology is like there's no genuine dispute to any material fact.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So general issue of material fact, I guess we should explain what that is found where a reasonable jury could return a verdict in favor of the non-moving party, which means you have to move for summary judgment. You file a motion for summary judgment.
Yeah. And yeah, basically it just means that there's nothing really here for there to be a ruling on. Like there's no real argument, basically.
Yeah. And that's, I gotta say, I disagree with this whole. I really.
Sorry. I think I probably disagree as well.
And that's coming from somebody who likes Christmas music.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
But I like it from December 1st to December 31st. And
on your own time.
In the car for a couple minutes, for a 20-minute drive, and then you're like, all right, something else.
Yeah.
Not 12 hours a day.
Not 12 hours, man. That's crazy. And I'm really upset because I've oftentimes found myself in situations where I've been like at a Walmart or whatever, and they're playing Christmas music, and I would love to sue them for that reason.
It's torture.
And now knowing that that's not cruel and unusual.
Can't do it.
Yeah, that's just... Also, I mean, that's a joke. I know Walmart's not a government official, but still, I would love to be able to say, shut it down. I don't want to hear that.
I don't want to hear your music.
No.
I use headphones.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
I should do that. I should start doing that. I don't know why. It's 2020 and I'm still listening to store soundtracks. I don't know what I'm... You know what? Something's wrong with me. I referenced an iPod today and didn't realize I could use my headphones in a store.
Drew, you're just getting old.
Oh my God. It's happening.
But yeah, I mean, that I know we got off track a couple different times in there, but that is the case. 12 hours of Christmas music in this jail. Terrible guy. I mean, terrible guy. In all of these cases, but in the end, Christmas music and holiday music, I guess, is not torture.
The spirit of Christmas prevails. I mean, this guy lost, Joe Arpaio, he's definitely lost his fair share of lawsuits. However, here, he was the victor. And, yeah, that's where we're at, guys. I mean, I don't know, I disagree, but... yeah, I mean, that's all I have for this case. I don't know if you have anything else you want to talk about.
No, not really. As always... Feel free to follow us on Instagram, Facebook. We have YouTube videos out now, Spotify, TalkShoe, really anywhere, Apple Music, anywhere that you can find podcasts, we're on it. If you have any ideas, we would love to take them. Just DM us on our Instagram, which is Below the Bar Podcast. And we will try to make an episode about it, whether you think it's funny, interesting, just whatever.
Yeah. And guys, thank you for listening. Whatever holiday you're celebrating this time of year, have a great one. And I hope everything that you wish it could be happens, despite the craziness that's going on in the world today. So thank you for listening. Tune in next week. We'll have another episode for you. And goodbye.
Have a good day.